evening. You're watching Super 6 here on India Today. I'm Akshita Nandagopal, and this evening we're going to be talking about the Supreme Court's scathing observations on Kannada superstar Darshan getting bail from the Karnataka High Court. The top court has pulled up the Karnataka High Court, saying it's shocked by the bail order that was given by the Karnataka High Court. Remember, Darshan, who is accused of murder, is out right now on regular bail with just a handful of conditions on him. It's led to serious questions being asked on whether the law isn't the same for one and all. It's different for a celebrity, for an actor, for an influencer, different for every other Aam Aadmi out there. Would the same kind of bail be granted to another individual? Would the hearing have happened as fast? It's a debate that's always sprung up, really, and questions have been raised of the Indian judiciary, and this time from within. The Supreme Court themselves asking how the High Court came out with this kind of an order. I'm going to be breaking down for you exactly what the Supreme Court said, what was questionable about the Karnataka High Court order, and of course, the question that I said, is law not the same for all in India? I'm Akshita Nandagopal. Let's begin with the headlines. Landmark free trade agreement signed between India and UK as part of Prime Minister Modi's visit to United Kingdom. Prime Minister Modi hails the game-changer agreement. Keir Starmer terms it as Britain's biggest trade deal post-Brexit. Election Commission versus Rahul showdown escalates. Rahul alleges poll body bid to steal votes. EC tells LOP to refrain from baseless allegations, tells him to wait for the High Court verdict. Enforcement Directorate raids Anil Ambani-linked premises in Mumbai days after SBI's fraud tag. ED teams from Delhi and Mumbai conduct raids after multiple agencies, including SEBI, CBI and NHB, provide inputs of alleged fund diversion. Karnataka Chief Minister to take action on RCB state cricket body. Sidhu government decides to penalise RCB and cricket body over stampede. Netas essentially go scot-free. Supreme Court pulls up High Court over bail to actor Darshan in Renukaswamy murder case. Top court calls ruling a perverse exercise of discretion. An absolutely heroic gesture by Rishabh Pant sees the injured wicketkeeper walk out to bat against England to the fourth test with a fractured toe. Team management confirms, though, that he is likely to be ruled out for the rest of the series. Dhruv Jurel to keep wickets instead. In India, the stark disparity in how celebrities, influential figures are treated by the judiciary compared to ordinary citizens of the country has repeatedly exposed deep cracks in the system's impartiality. There have been time and again examples of this, of high-profile individuals, actors, politicians, industrialists, all granted swift bail, their hearings coming up immediately. In some cases, if they needed to be, proceedings being delayed, even acquittals under dubious circumstances. All of this, you draw a contrast there, a comparison, and you'll see that the average citizen languishes in overcrowded jails awaiting trials for far less serious offences. That's exactly what's happened in this case with actor Darshan. Accused of murdering his fan in the most brutal manner, this sandalwood actor, this Kannada actor, has been granted bail months ago. There's been a mountain of evidence against him, a lot of it in public domain, photos, CCTV footage, not just confirming the brutal manner in which Renukaswamy was murdered by Darshan and by some of his aides, but also showing Darshan at the scene of the crime with his partner, co-accused Pavitra Gowda. But while this monster got regular bail from the Karnataka High Court for God alone knows what reason, it's the Supreme Court today that's pulled up the High Court, and how. Thankfully, it's within the judiciary that there is a call for looking for introspection. Here's what the Supreme Court said. Let's put the focus really on some of the highlights of the objectives, observations essentially, that the Supreme Court made while hearing this case. They were in clear disbelief that someone like Darshan, with the kind of grave charges against him, managed to get bail. They've asked, does the High Court actually dictate such orders in all bail pleas? Questioning exactly what we've said. That, there's a clear discrepancy in how some cases are heard and some influential cases are heard. What's troubling us is the approach of the High Court. Let's put out, in fact, some of those pointers of the Supreme Court also saying, how can the High Court judge make such a mistake? Is this his understanding? So they've even singled out the judge in this particular case, asking how could he have gone ahead and committed such a mistake? They're calling it a mistake that he was even granted bail. The Supreme Court also, in extreme questions that have been raised of the High Court, has said this is perverse exercise of discretion, saying clearly that this is one person's view that's essentially taken over the judgment of the High Court in granting regular bail. The Supreme Court has asked, has the High Court applied its mind judicially? That's our concern. And then they've said, we won't commit the same mistake the High Court made. We won't decide or provide any sort of judgment on acquittal or conviction. Now, besides that, the Supreme Court has also said, how can the High Court say there are no reliable witnesses? The order has now, and what we're putting out right now is why the High Court also granted Darshan bail. These are, in fact, the reasons why High Court granted Darshan bail last year in December 2024. We'll talk about that in just a bit. The order by the Supreme Court, and let's come back to images on your screens of Darshan. The order has now been reserved by the Supreme Court, but this has led to serious questions of whether Darshan, who enjoyed all kinds of VVIP perks in jail, which was exposed on camera. There was footage of him smoking inside the Parapana Agrahara Central Prison. Now, there are questions on whether he was unfairly released on bail, especially when he faces such serious charges of murder. Let me bring in Nagarjun Dwarkanath as well as Anisha Mathur joining us with more details on this. Anisha, I'm going to begin with you to kind of put the focus on what really the Supreme Court has said today. The top court has been extremely critical, many would say rightly so, of the Karnataka High Court's order.
Well, yes, clearly the Supreme Court has taken serious exception to what the Karnataka High Court has done, questioning how exactly in a murder case, in a bail hearing, the High Court went into the merits of the matter and examined evidences and witnesses. One major question that has been asked by the Supreme Court is that we will not make the same mistakes as the High Court. You explain to us when the evidence was there. There are photographs available. There is evidence that the person was there, the accused person was there. Then how exactly has the High Court looked into the examination of the evidence? Because in a bail case, what a High Court needs to look into is only basic prima facie evidence. The Supreme Court making a very critical comment that the manner in which the High Court has dictated its order is unacceptable, and that is why the Supreme Court is looking into this petition. Remember, the government had come to the court saying that the High Court order is completely incorrect, that the High Court has not appreciated the evidence, that the High Court has not looked into the conduct of the witnesses. In fact, the state also said that some of the key witnesses were found with the accused and occupying a stage with the accused, and that is something that raises serious red flags about the influencing of witnesses. Now, court says we are very serious when it comes to murder, and we will see only if the prosecution case aspires confidence or not.
No, rightly so. These are very serious allegations against Darshan. Nagarjun Dwarkanath is joining us with more on this. Repeatedly, there have been questions, Naga, of whether Darshan has used his influence as an actor to kind of go easy on the allegations against him. We've seen images from jail where you've seen smoking a cigarette. We saw him previously meeting with a top cop as well. Now that he's out on bail, this is regular bail. There are very few conditions really that have been slapped on him for getting this bail.
Well, that's true. VVIP treatment being given to Darshan actor in Karnataka is what we are told. The High Court has granted him bail based on medical conditions. But when he was in the prison, he used to complain of back pain, leg pain. He was unable to sleep in the prison. But the moment he got bail, he was unwilling to get a test done by the doctor, because the High Court also said that get a test done and give us a report. He was unwilling to get the test done, and later he took permission from the court to fly to Thailand for movie production and movie shooting. How is that possible? A person who was unwilling to be in the prison because of health reasons months, immediately became fine and went to Thailand to shoot for his upcoming movie. And now the Supreme Court has come down heavily on the High Court as to on what grounds the bail was given. And this seems to be a moral victory for the Bangalore police. The former commissioner who is suspended right now, Mr. Dayanand IPS, seems to get a moral victory out of this because he consistently told the government when he was briefing the Chief Minister and the Home Minister that it's a credible case for Darshan to be convicted and they have done a decent job collecting all the witness. It is not just a failure of the system when Darshan got a bail in the High Court, and hence he convinced the government to go on appeal to Supreme Court. And today we have seen the results when Supreme Court has observed on how High Court has given the bail and they are unable to understand on what grounds they were giving bail to actor Darshan.
Okay, Naga, thanks very much for those details. Thanks, Anisha, also for joining us. Let me open this up. Joining us on this broadcast now is Sanjay Sahai, former IPS officer. We've also got Ananya Krishna, advocate of the Supreme Court. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to begin with Ananya Krishna first on what's really played out in the Supreme Court. Many would say that this is the need of the hour. Ananya, if you've seen the details really that have emerged of the manner in which the Karnataka High Court granted bail to Darshan, it does leave several questions about whether, there was a go easy on Darshan.
I would like to first clarify that the question before the Honorable High Court of Karnataka was not that whether the actor Darshan or any of the accused were guilty or not. It was the question if those accused were necessary in the custody for the interrogation or for the trial to begin before the pre-trial mandates. The question arises as to why the High Court dealt on the merits of the case rather than why the bail was supposed to be granted in favor of the accused. And we can observe through the order of the High Court that the interim order and the reasons that were given in the interim order were not dealt with the final order.
Can you explain that further for us, Ananya, when you say that, the question here was about granting bail and yet you had the High Court going into the merits of the case. Did it seem almost like the Karnataka High Court was trying to declare whether he was guilty or not? Is it ultimately is that what happened in the Karnataka High Court?
No, this is the question of bail has become a right these days. I mean, in the Article 14, where everybody is treated equally before the law, even the accused, before he is convicted as guilty, is treated as innocent. And that is where the generosity of the courts begin.
No, that's understandable.
But in this particular case, was the generosity required? Considering the heinous crimes that has happened and the witness tampering that has taken place before he was arrested, before the actor Darshan was arrested and arraigned as an accused, we have had statements of his co-accused wherein he's handed over money to them for them to go and surrender before the police that they are the main culprits of the case and hiding his name. And those monies have been recovered from a certain place.
So you raised an important point. Mr. Sanjay Sahai, I'd like to bring you in also on this. What makes this particularly worrying in this particular case, sir, is with Darshan out, the very question of whether witnesses can be influenced will be asked here, because there were so many others who are still part of the investigation. Evidence collection is still on, that it's shocking that he is out on bail with minimum conditions right now.
See, evidence collection is not on, but certainly can influence the witnesses. I'll start with the first point. And the first point is that we are celebrating what the Supreme Court has talked about in today's hearing. For me, it is not a celebration because Supreme Court comes with these caustic remarks every now and then in all the cases where this sort of a discrepancy, discretionary or otherwise happens. So in this case, if we come to, so there was a interim bail given on the 30th of October. What did the interim bail say? Interim bail talked about spine surgery and recovery. So from 30th of October till 24th of July, that to best of my understanding on the information available in the public domain, I have not found any evidence of this person or this accused having gone through this particular surgery, where there is enough evidence in the public domain which talks about certificates being created by Dr. Naveen of the BGS Global Hospital. So from there it starts. and having failed in literally the main bail condition of spinal surgery and recovery, he gets a regular bail on 13th of December, if I am right, 2024. It does not stop there. It is not only the issue of the High Court. The rod goes down. If you come to the permission given to travel, who gave the permission to travel? It was Bangalore City Civil and Sessions Court. So that is where we stand. And you see the whole background, how it operates. They have been playing around with the criminal justice system from day one. It starts with fake accused being produced. It starts from there. Then they played around with the whatever is the prison administration or whatever is left of the prison administration by that particular photograph. Then where we come to spinal surgery. A fellow who is requiring spinal surgery, say 10 months back, he is live and kicking all around the place. And whosoever is a trial judge, he is fine with the arguments which is being meted out. The most interesting argument is for his travel, that there is a necessity of foreign travel for that part of shooting of a movie called Devil. It was in Dubai, it was in Europe, it was in Thailand. Where all he has gone, he has not gone, we have absolutely no idea. So regular bail, literally it seems that it has no condition whatsoever. And this generosity part, I don't go by the generosity part of it. There is no generosity which can be part of a discretion of a judicial officer. Let's be very, very clear. Within 90 days, the case is charge sheeted. There is absolutely very little chance for a court to give bail. That is crystal clear in murder cases, and that is why this furor is. So
no,
at every single point
also,
in
Mr.
time,
Sahai, is, you know, when this case came to the fore, there was so much focus on the investigation and the police did an amazing job. You know, there was a lot of question about the kind of pressure that they'd be under. They didn't give in to that pressure. They didn't buckle. They ensured a detailed investigation, a mountain of evidence against Darshan. All of it to culminate in what? In Darshan being out on bail. And let's highlight here that, yes, bail is a legal process. No one's questioning that. But Ananya Krishna, you know, when you have details like this emerging of this man saying he has a medical condition and so needs to undergo surgery, then gets permission to travel abroad, goes for film shoots, at that point, in such a circumstance, can the High Court actually intervene and say that, look, what we gave you and delivered bail on was something completely different. If you're traveling around, please go ahead and serve the punishment as well.
Yes, definitely. The High Court had to look into this. First thing, the interim order was given on the pretext of him needing a surgery. And during the deciding of the actual bail, the regular bail, the High Court had to question whether he had undergone the surgery or not, what is the status of his medical condition. Because medical condition was the prima facie reason why actor Darshan was granted bail, and I condemn why this was not taken into the consideration during the actual bail hearing. And the second thing is, during the bail hearing, you cannot take a backdoor entry with medical records or medical conditions.
Yeah. I think we've lost Ananya there, but the point that she was essentially making is that ideally the High Court should have intervened in this particular case. You've granted bail in December, and one of the grounds was on medical conditions, and yet no action that was taken when Darshan has been gallivanting around the world. That's what's led to questions about whether, you know, we've gone soft on him just because of his influence, just because he's an actor, in which case it's a sorry state of affairs right now in the country that we must fix, we must address. And hopefully now with the Supreme Court stepping in, we will see some action taken against Darshan. And the fact that he's claimed all sorts of back issues, but traveling around the world, surely that means that he's fit enough to also be at the central prison in Parapana, Agrahara. I'd like to thank our panelists, Ananya Krishna and Mr. Sahai, for joining us here on India Today. And remember that one of the mentions by the Karnataka High Court while granting Darshan bail is that he's not had any sort of previous criminal record. And yet, what we're going to show you in our next report is how Darshan has had several brushes with the law. In the last 2 decades, his popularity graph skyrocketed, but so did his controversies.
Sandalwood superstar Darshan Thoogudeepa, along with some close associates, were at a pub in Mysuru. After midnight, because the DJ played a song of another actor, Puneet Rajkumar, at the request of a guest named Yashwant, the superstar lost his cool. He started abusing the DJ and the guest, saying in his presence only songs from his films can be played. He even threatened them. An FIR was registered against his associates, but not the superstar himself, though police confirmed his involvement. This wasn't the first time. Darshan Thoogudeepa is no stranger to controversies. In fact, his complicated married life and his rowdy behavior in public have earned him the title of Enfant Terrible of Kannada cinema. Within a decade of his first super hit, he was arrested and spent quite a few days in jail. He was charged with domestic violence. Darshan's marriage with Vijay Lakshmi was about 8 years old, and their son was a toddler when he was booked for attempted murder and assaulting his wife in 2011. But the couple buried the hatchet after mediation by several bigwigs of the industry. 5 years later, Vijay Lakshmi once again registered a police complaint against her husband for objectionable behavior. And once again, she reconciled and retreated. In 2018, Darshan, actor Devraj, and Darshan's friend Anthony suffered injuries when their SUV rammed a streetlight in North Mysuru. No casualties were reported and case was settled. In 2021, he was accused of physically assaulting a waiter at a Mysuru hotel by Indrajit Lankesh. Reports later suggested that the CCTV visuals were deleted and the incident was covered up, with the police compensating the waiter with 50,000 rupees. A year later, Bharat, a Kannada film producer, lodged a police complaint against Darshan for threatening him with dire consequences. But he too withdrew eventually. In January 2023, Forest Department officials raided Darshan's T. Narsipura farm on the outskirts of Mysuru, following a social media video where the actor is talking about the 4 bar-headed geese on his farm. Officials said the endangered bird was protected under the Wildlife Protection Act, and the actor was possessing them in violation of the law.
Hey, broker.
In November 2023, Darshan was accused of setting up his dogs to attack his neighbor. Reportedly, she had an argument with his caretaker over the parking space. An FIR was lodged, but as the neighbor was compensated with hospital treatment charges, the matter got resolved. Early 2024, Darshan was among several Kannada film stars who were issued notices by the police in connection with partying late into the night, in violation of the deadline, and creating ruckus at a posh Bengaluru pub. Darshan and the crew of Katira were celebrating the box office success of the film. The Katira star has been in and out of controversies too often, but none escalated to the level it has with the murder of Renukaswamy. Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's get to the latest updates coming in also on the Bengaluru stampede judicial report. A petition has been filed in the High Court. The plea challenges the findings of the judicial report on the stampede. Remember that the one-man judicial commission, the Kunha report, did question RCB, the events company DNA, and gave a clean sheet essentially to the government, to ministers who have also been questioned. The plea has been filed by event company DNA that organized the RCB parade at the Chinnaswamy Stadium, because they've been named in that report. Sagai Raja is joining us with more details on this. Sagai, in that plea, the DNA events company has even said that the state government is trying to shield itself.
Absolutely. The DNA director who has filed a petition in Karnataka court has questioned the motive behind Karnataka government constituting a judicial inquiry in this entire stampede incident. And they have justified their plea, stating that in order to get away, in order to the government to get away from this entire controversial, they have constituted this and trying to book people, especially DNA and other private agencies in this particular case. So they said that the government is playing a witch hunt role and they have no role in this entire allegation which has been made by the Michael D. Kudnath report. So they have challenged, it will be heard in the Karnataka High Court. So we need to look into it, whether Karnataka High Court will go ahead and will give in favor of government or in favor of DNA.
Okay, Sagai, thanks very much for those details. Now we'll see what really plays out in the court with DNA, the events company that's been named by the Kunha report, saying very clearly that this is an attempt by the state government to shield itself. Very controversial there. That particular petition could be trouble for the Karnataka government in the stampede case. Let's get you an excerpt of the conversation that Rajdeep and I had with the Andhra Deputy Chief Minister and superstar Pawan Kalyan on his support for Hindi language, on also the Mughals, particularly its portrayal in his films, considering that now Harihara Veeramallu has released. Take a look. Pawan Kalyan Garu, also when we talk of this particular issue, I think another one that comes up is the language debate which has been playing out for the last many years that you dived into head first recently as well. What do you think? Do you think Hindi should be our national language? Is that what you're pitching for?
Frankly speaking, when I was in school, Hindi is a second language to all of us. Today I'm able to read and write Hindi only because I learned it in school. I don't know suddenly why it became a big issue in recent times, even in Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh shares borders with Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh shares border with Orissa, and Karnataka, we share borders with Tamil Nadu, we share borders with Orissa, and Telangana, of course, recently. And I don't know why we have to make a language issue as a big debate. If Telangana itself is mixed with Urdu, mixed with Telugu. Instead of you saying Aspatal, you call it as Dawkhana. So what is so wrong? And even in Telangana, certain leaders are antagonizing Hindi. It's a quite surprising thing for me, surprising element to me, if I look at it. I don't know why everyone is sparking this language debate. I feel it is more than the Hindi itself. I think it is, maybe they don't like, because the hatred towards BJP or the hatred towards Modi ji should not get diverted to Hindi language. I think that's how I frame it.
The
because Hindi is very, very essential, not just Hindi, all the language.
No, the allegation constantly is that Hindi is being imposed by a certain political party, and your political detractors, to counter what you've said on Hindi, have raised what you've said years ago when you said to North Indian politicians, you know, don't bring your language, don't impose it on us.
No. I still stand by the same, because a language should be learned with a passion. No one has taught me English by force. They created a necessity to learn English. I didn't learn. Today we are speaking in English not because of that we love English, because it has because of English rule or colonial rule, it became a necessity. In the same way, Hindi is also a necessity for me. Today I am able to speak Tamil is because of it is. I love it, and it is a necessary way of a language to communicate, especially when I'm doing films. As I grew up in Chennai also. And so vice versa, if I go to Karnataka, that's what I try to speak. If I go to Maharashtra, I try to pick up a few lines of Marathi. I think that's what we all should understand. A multilinguistic approach or perspective is needed to each and every citizen of this nation. I think it is good for the linguistic integration and cultural integration. I firmly believe in it.
And let's also get you a report on exactly what kind of celebrations broke out in Bengaluru as Pawan Kalyan's film released just yesterday. These are the celebrations as fans of the power star came together to celebrate the release of Harihara Veeramallu. Okay, let's move on and get your details of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Tamil Nadu, two-day visit that's over the weekend. Prime Minister Modi will be visiting the state on the 27th and 28th of this month once he's back from the Maldives. Prime Minister Modi is scheduled to attend the 1000th anniversary of the Gangetic conquest of King Rajendra Chola I. And that will be an important one because you have the government then putting the focus on the legacy of the Cholas. This event is going to be at the Brihadishwara temple. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, beautiful ancient temple. And besides that, the Prime Minister will also inaugurate an upgraded and modernized airport at Thoothukudi or Tuticorin. The airport has been modernized and expanded at a cost of 381 crores. Mr. Modi will also be visiting the iconic Cholapuram temple. Here's a ground report by Pramod Madhav.
We would like to give you an introduction of a very important and significant temple in the state of Tamil Nadu. Now, everybody after Ponniyin Selvan would have got a small introduction about the Brihadishwara temple or the Peruvudayar Koil of Thanjavur built by Rajaraja Cholan. But many do not know that there exists another temple just like the Peruvudayar temple, just 50 kilometers away from the main temple, called as Gangai Konda Cholapuram, and this is built by Rajaraja Cholan's son Rajendra Cholan, which is what you could see behind us, that beautiful Nandi and the amazing temple.
So that beautiful temple will be Prime Minister Modi over the weekend. He's also expected to meet with Edapadi Palaniswamy, the AIADMK now allies with the BJP. Remember, EPS himself has been on an all-out statewide campaign, and in his latest statement has lashed out at the Tamil Nadu government, claiming that there is an illegal organ racket that the DMK is involved in. Now, the reason for this is that EPS claims one of the hospitals allegedly involved in fact, this illegal kidney transplant racket is linked to a DMK MLA S. Kadiravan. EPS has said that body parts are being snapped and removed in Namakkal district, and further alleged that the state government's decision to suspend transplant licenses of 2 private hospitals was an admission of guilt.
இன்னைக்கு திமுகவில் என்ன கிட்னி திருடலாம். இன்னைக்கு நீ யாருமே ஆஸ்பத்திரிக்கு போக முடியாதாட்டு இருக்குது. இந்த ஆட்சியில இது அரசாங்கம் இன்னைக்கு வெளியிட்டு இருக்குது. இன்னைக்கு நாமக்கல் மாவட்டத்துல கிட்னி திருடி இருக்காங்க. அந்த திருட்டு கும்பலை பிடிப்பதற்கு அரசாங்கமே ஒரு IAS அதிகாரி, மருத்துவத்துறை சேர்ந்த அதிகாரி நியமிக்கப்பட்டு அவர்கள் போய் சோதனை நடத்துறாங்க. யாரு அதுல சம்பந்தப்பட்டிருக்காங்கன்னா திமுக கட்சிக்கு சொந்தமான தனலட்சுமி சீனிவாசன் மருத்துவமனை, பெரம்பலூர் மற்றும் சித்தார் மருத்துவமனை திருச்சி. அந்த மருத்துவமனை யாருக்கு சொந்தம்னா மணச்சநல்லூர் திமுக MLA கதிரவன் என்ற அவருடைய மருத்துவமனைங்க. ஏங்க இவரெல்லாம் நம்பி ஓட்டு போட்டு ஜெயிக்க வச்சா உடல் இருக்கிறதெல்லாம் பாட்டு பாட்டா கட் பண்ணி எடுத்துட்டு போயிருவாங்க. இன்னைக்கு யாருடைய மருத்துவமனை? திமுக MLA அவர்களுக்கு சார்ந்த நிறுவன மருத்துவமனையிலிருந்து கிட்னி திருடப்பட்டதாக அவர்களுடைய அறிக்கை, திமுக அரசாங்கம் கொடுக்கப்பட்ட அறிக்கை. நாம சொல்லல. இப்படிப்பட்ட ஆட்சி தேவையா? ஏழை எளிய ஒடுக்கப்பட்ட நசுக்கப்பட்ட மக்கள் அவர்களுடைய சூழ்நிலையை கருதி அவர்கள் மருத்துவமனைக்கு போனா அங்கேயே கத்திரிக்கோள் போட்டு அழகா கிட்னி எடுத்துக்கிறான், லட்சக்கணக்கில் விற்கிறான். ஆனா அந்த ஏழைக்கு குறைந்த பணம் தான் கொடுக்கிறான். இப்படிப்பட்ட அவல ஆட்சி தேவைங்களா?
An organized organ stealing racket involving DMK and DMK netas has sent shockwaves. It's very clear and evident that this DMK associated members, DMK cadres and netas run hospitals are involved in the kidney racket, stealing kidneys from the downtrodden and marginalized people. The health ministry is exercising all its powers not to investigate in the right way at the right angle, and the culprit is still on the run.
இந்த 2 மருத்துவமனைகளிலும் தவறு நடந்திருப்பது, முறைகேடு நடந்திருப்பது என்பது கண்டறியப்பட்டது. முதல்ல எடப்பாடி பழனிசாமிக்கு அதுக்கான வித்தியாசம் தெரியாது. திருடுங்கிறது உங்களுக்கு தெரியாம உங்க உடலில் இருக்கிற கிட்னியை திருடு. இதுவே அதிமுக ஆட்சியாக இருந்தால் இந்த மாதிரி நூற்றுக்கணக்கான விஷயங்கள் அவங்க 10 ஆண்டு காலத்தில் நடந்தது. ஒன்றுத்துக்கு எந்த விதமான ஒரு சின்ன விசாரணை கூட இல்லை.
The walls are closing in on a global cyber fraud empire, and it all began with an India Today investigation. A massive crackdown in Cambodia has exposed how scam networks lured trapped Indians into digital crime factories. And now what we're seeing is one of the biggest global takedowns yet. Details in our report.
The walls are closing in on a global cyber fraud syndicate, with India Today's investigation lighting the fire that brought a transnational scam network to its knees. Months after India Today exposed how scam syndicates were trapping Indians in Cambodia and forcing them into cyber fraud, came the biggest ever crackdown. Cambodian authorities have raided 138 locations and detained a staggering 3,075 individuals in a 15-day operation targeting digital scams. Among those arrested, 105 Indians, along with nationals from China, Vietnam, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Korea, and several African countries. This comes after direct intervention by India's Home Ministry, External Affairs Ministry, and the Indian Cybercrime Coordination Centre. Weapons, ecstasy, fake police uniforms, and tech hardware were all seized, laying bare the extent of the criminal web. Online frauds are bleeding Indians dry. In just the first 5 months of 2025, digital scam losses have crossed a staggering rupees 7,000 crore. The month-wise breakdown paints a grim picture. And authorities fear this is just the tip of the iceberg. Sources tell India Today the MEA is now working to deport the Indians, most of them believed to have been lured under false job promises and then trapped into scam networks. This sweeping action is a direct fallout of New Delhi's diplomatic push and India Today's relentless spotlight that forced global authorities to act. Bureau Report, India Today.
So this crackdown by the government, where essentially they've ensured that in Cambodia, all those involved in digital arrests in India are identified, was kicked off by India Today's investigative report. Our relentless coverage has led to this crackdown. It was in November last year that we reported how Indians lost so much money in digital arrest scams, and also importantly, who was behind them. And we unearthed that behind this web of deceit and lies is Asia's Golden Triangle, a crime hub essentially where thousands are trapped, trafficked and forced into cyber fraud. So let's take a look back at this report that we had filed in November, based on which the government has now ensured that 3,000 people have been arrested in Cambodia.
$120 crores and counting. That's the amount Indians have lost in digital arrest frauds alone. Scamsters have shaken up India's digital safety, duping scores through online fraud. Who's behind this syndicate? The web of deceit is spread across Asia's infamous Golden Triangle. This is not some beachside resort in Thailand or Cambodia. This is a gated complex from where a ruthless crime syndicate runs numerous online scams. Operating from defunct beachside casinos and remote gated complexes in Cambodia, Myanmar and Laos. The Golden Triangle of drugs and human trafficking. This is where thousands of men and women from India, Bangladesh and Nepal and other countries are enslaved in a vicious, inhuman cycle of cybercrime. And not all of them are here of their own free will.
मैंने बोला कि आप लोग जो भी हैं मुझे यहाँ से जाना है, मैं इंटरेस्टेड नहीं हुआ। तो ट्रांसलेटर ने बोला कि अगर तुम ये शब्द दोबारा बोलोगे तो तुम्हें बहुत मारेंगे। ये शब्द दोबारा नहीं बोलना। वार्निंग दी कि ये शब्द दोबारा मत बोलना कि तुम्हें यहाँ से जाना है। ये शब्द दोबारा बोलोगे तो मार खाओगे।
लोग कहते हैं कि मर्द रोता नहीं है, तो मैं रो नहीं रहा हूँ, लेकिन आप देख लीजिए और बुला लीजिए उनको यहाँ से।
कम्बोडिया के टाइमिंग के हिसाब से 11 बजे शिफ्ट शुरू होती थी, तो उन्होंने 12 बजे मेरे को पकड़ा और 12 बजे से लेके रात के 11 बजे तक वो मुझे मारते रहे।
These criminal enterprises based out of Southeast Asia are hurting India and Indians on both sides of the divide. The victims as well as the perpetrators. Take a look at these stunning figures given by the Ministry of Home Affairs. 7,000 crore rupees have been siphoned off from India in first 4 months of 2024. Over 6 lakh complaints have been received by Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center. 10,000 FIRs have been filed in 2023 pertaining to investment scams alone. Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center and state agencies have frozen 3.25 lakh mule accounts between January and April. India today has accessed a charge sheet filed by the Enforcement Directorate in a digital investment cyber scam. The ED probe reveals that human trafficking networks are luring Indians under the guise of job offers and forcing them into cyber crimes. Cambodia, Myanmar and Laos are notorious cybercrime hotspots. Golden Triangle is infamous for drugs and human trafficking. 30,000 Indians on visitor visas to Golden Triangle have not returned so far. The ED charge sheet cites the case of 36-year-old Manish Tomar from Hapur in Uttar Pradesh, detailing how he was duped by famous YouTuber Bobby Kataria. Tomar says he lost 3 lakh rupees to Bobby Kataria's fake job racket.
मैंने इंस्टाग्राम पे बॉबी कटारे की इंस्टाग्राम की आईडी पे जॉब देखी थी आउट ऑफ कंट्री के लिए। उसमें उन्होंने अपना नंबर भी दे रखा था कि आउट ऑफ कंट्री की जॉब के लिए हम संपर्क करें उनसे संपर्क किया मैंने। संपर्क करने के बाद में हम उनके ऑफिस में पहुँचे। ऑफिस में पहुँचने के बाद में उन्होंने हमें बोला कि पहले 2000 का रजिस्ट्रेशन करना पड़ेगा, उसके बाद में तुम्हें जॉब की डिटेल बताई जाएगी।
Instead of the promised job in Singapore, Tomar landed in Laos on a visitor visa and got trapped in a cyber crime hub.
चाइनीज़ कंपनी में इंटरव्यू कराते हैं। इंटरव्यू में हमारा इंट्रोडक्शन होता है। इंट्रोडक्शन होने के बाद में वो लोग हमारे पासपोर्ट रख लेते हैं और पासपोर्ट रखने के बाद में हमें बोलते हैं कि आप अभी रेस्ट करो, आपको काम बताया जाएगा अगले दिन। और अगले दिन हमें बुलाया गया, वहाँ पे हम पहुँचे ऑफिस में। हमें बताया गया कि आपको यहाँ पे फ्रॉड करना है। फ्रॉड करना है मतलब डॉलर में इन्वेस्ट कराना है लोगों से। जो इंडियन लोग रहते हैं वहाँ अमेरिका में, उनसे फेक आईडी बना के फेसबुक पे लड़की की फेक आईडी बना के उनसे इन्वेस्ट कराना है और कैसे भी करो उनको अपने जाल में फंसाओ, कैसे जो भी करना है जैसे भी करना है उनको अपने जाल में फंसाओ, उनसे इन्वेस्ट कराओ, ये काम है तुम्हारा।
In multiple cases, the Indian embassies in Laos, Myanmar and Cambodia have intervened to rescue Indians caught in the cybercrime syndicates. Action has also been initiated against human traffickers like Bobby Kataria, who was arrested by the NIA and is currently in judicial custody. With Arvind Ojha, Nitin Jain and Jitendra Singh, a special investigation by India Today.
Now, after Rahul Gandhi claimed that there were discrepancies and manipulation during polling in Karnataka as well and lashed out at the Election Commission over this, you have now got the Karnataka Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister backing Rahul Gandhi's claim against the EC. Siddaramaiah and DK Shivkumar have agreed that yes, there was some manipulation. DK Shivkumar has even claimed that in his own constituency, which is Kanakpura, he claims there was vote manipulation. Now, this even as the Karnataka Election Commission has responded to, in fact, Rahul Gandhi's claim of vote theft, saying that the voter rolls were prepared transparently. There was no question of any sort of manipulation because copies were shared with all parties as well. Let's get you the reaction that's come in now from DK Shivkumar.
I also agree with Rahul Gandhi. Even I also have a very thorough this one. I have made a very detailed investigation on even my Bengaluru rural constituency also. Lot of golmals have been done. I don't want to disclose much. I'll come back later on this issue.
Okay, let me bring in Nagarjun Dwarkanath for more details. So on this, Nagarjun, this is now becoming the biggest political talking point in Karnataka. There's no evidence whatsoever that the Congress has put forth to back their charge, but DK Shivkumar claiming that it happened in his own constituency.
Well, that's to the Lok Sabha polls. Congress lost the Bengaluru rural seat, which was held by the DK family for a long time. DK Suresh, brother of DK Shivkumar, was the sitting MP till recently. He lost this election. And remember, in 2019, it was that's only seat that Congress won. That was Bengaluru rural. And it was unbelievable for them to know that they had lost the seat. And now, after Rahul Gandhi has said that there is some election fraud in terms of voter list in Karnataka also, DK Shivkumar today spoke exclusively saying that it is his own constituency, Bengaluru rural constituency, that election fraud has happened. The electoral voter list seems to be manipulated is what he says. And now backing Rahul Gandhi and DK Shivkumar, the Chief Minister also has tweeted, if I can quote him, Akshita, he said that if the very body entrusted with protecting democracy becomes a tool in the hands of those subverting it, the soul of our republic is under threat, is what Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has said. We are yet to figure out what is the number of fraud electoral votes Congress is claiming in terms of Bengaluru rural constituency. Rahul Gandhi said very soon the data would be put in public forth to ensure that public also does their own scrutiny. DK Shivkumar on the other hand says he has all the data and will submit to Rahul Gandhi to take up the cause.
Okay, we'll see what how the Congress takes this forward. So far, they haven't really put out any details or evidence, but DK Shivkumar, backing what Rahul Gandhi had said, who claimed that they had analysed one seat in Karnataka and the data they got back is shocking. Was he referring to the same seat that DK Shivkumar is talking about here? We'll have to wait and see. But the Karnataka Election Commission has issued a clear statement where they've denied all of this, saying all details of the rolls completely transparent and was shared with political parties. Thanks very much, Nagarjun, for joining us with those details. We'll track very closely the reactions that come in on that latest showdown between the Election Commission and the opposition, between the Election Commission and Rahul Gandhi over Karnataka and the Karnataka election results.